Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, stay in your lane, Alan. I'm bringing you this program just to reiterate the things that I'm passionate about and any other subjects. If I don't cover them here, it's probably because it's out of my lane. For instance, I'm aware of all that's going on in the impeachment of our president, Donald J. Trump. I'm impressed by the arguments that the House of Representatives uh, team have laid out, and I know that there's going to be an awful lot of other silliness to come. I have been tuned in, but it's not my area. I, as an American citizen, uh, feel I should be tuned in, but this is still not my area. My area is basically based on my life. The things that I honestly think that I'm best at have to do with subjects like the Bible. Now, I've read the Bible cover to cover. I claim to only know 1% of what's in that book, that great book. I believe that the Bible is the owner's manual to all of us who believe there is a God. And I claim that I claim that I have, on thousands of occasions in my life, heard from God directly or indirectly, which leads up to my age 63. I claim that my um, expertise, if you will, is only in Alan Jones. I don't know nothing about anybody else. I can offer an awful lot of opinions, as you may have heard me in this my fourth year of the Angelic Troublemakers, but I only know about me and what I have experienced. And far as staying in my lane is concerned, the things that I have come across, I, just feel passionate to talk about. Now, the reason for this program, it has to do with black folks. I, by staying in my lane, claim that I know about black people. Now, if I can put in a plug for next week, my title for my next week's program, which is February 1st, is Black Power in White America. And it has to do with my belief on black folks. I am anti Black History Month. But I claim to know enough about black people that I have a passion to say what I will without hesitation, with full preparation to debate the issue on black folks. The pros, the cons, the goods, the bads, the ups, the downs. Am I an expert on black history? No. But I claim to know a lot about black people. One other thing that I claim to know about: When it comes to homosexuality, I claim to know an awful lot about homosexuality. Now, the fact that I know and or claim to know enough about that, I welcome the challenge for anybody to discuss the subject of homosexuality with me and connect it to the Bible. I look forward to that challenge. I also claim that I know enough about not being able to walk. Disabilities. Do I know what it's like to be blind? No. Deaf? No. Not able to speak? No. But the fact that so many of us have disabilities, if you will, I claim to be an expert on Alan's ability to encourage my fellow man based on my own disability, the fact that I've never been able to walk. Now, when I say that I stay in my lane, there are things that I honestly am so passionate about, things that really get under my skin, things that really I have seen that I said, that's not right, that I have to speak up on. One of the things that I say that I am claim is in my lane, prison reform. Why? Based on what I have witnessed dealing with people who are incarcerated, I claim that I have enough information in me, in this big head of mine, that I can encourage someone to move away from a life of crime, but the criminal justice system dealing with those who are incarcerated and how we can get them out and stay out. Does that mean that everybody I talk to who's incarcerated goes out and has a successful life? Give me a break. I'm not that silly. But I claim to know enough about the subject of what can happen or what must happen to change our prison system around to where it's safe for society, the staff of our prisons, as well as inmates. I claim that I know enough about justice reform. And these are areas to where I honestly look forward this late in my life to tackling the issues with good arguments in how we should do this versus that when it comes to justice system. I read last week, I believe it was, a man who had 18 alibi witnesses, and yet he was still convicted for a crime he did not commit. Now, if you have 18 alibi witnesses and you still go to prison, something's wrong with the justice system. And if you have to continue to stay in prison trying to prove your innocence year after year after year, based on the things that I have seen, I believe that is wrong. It's injustice. And though I say I claim to know about the justice system, I also claim, staying in my lane, I know about injustice. I know a lot about different things dealing with encouragement. I claim, though you can only do what you can to speak in support of another human being, not knowing what's in their heart, I claim I'm an experienced person. I started to say expert. That's not an experienced person on encouraging another person. I have had stories, which I'm not going to brag about here, but where I've talked somebody out of suicide that I'm very proud of. Now, when I say that I am staying in my lane, when I, without hesitation, am the person to come to when you need encouragement, it's because I know the subject very well. Now, I know that there's an awful lot of people who throw up the word fairness. In this life, we're all into fairness. Well, I'm a person who believes, well, let me put it another way. I'm an anti-fairness type person. I don't believe in fairness. Not that I don't believe in fairness, but I don't believe we should be promoting it. Why? Life is not fair. Nowhere where in the Bible will you see that God is for fairness. God is for justice. Is there a difference? Yes. Fairness, shall we say, if a person kills 10 people and for his punishment we kill him 10 times, that's fair. You know that's impossible. What I'm saying here is fairness is not really that possible. Fairness, the reason why I'm not into it and I'm staying in my lane when I talk against fairness is because if life was intended to be fair, everybody would have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 ears, 1 nose, 1 mouth, and $1,000 in the bank. But life is not fair. And it was never meant to be fair. So, when I say that I'm against fairness, I'm also saying, since life is not fair, don't look for fairness in life, look for the challenge in life. And when you look for the challenge in life, you'll find an awful lot of things to where, hey, you can rise above all of the traps where people are looking to be fair. Now, when I say look for the challenges in life, one of the greatest things that I claim about being a black person, for me personally, is the challenge of what it is to be black in America. But there are many challenges in this life. And I myself, staying in my lane, I love to promote the challenge of life. Now, if I could just slightly get off subject, I heard in the impeachment hearings this week where, senators were complaining about being bored. I think that the word bored, boring, is an insult to God. Why? Because God has given us all a creative mind. I don't care how you dumb you are, you still have a creative mind. And so, if God has given us all a creative mind, to say I'm bored because you have to sit in a room for 10 or 12 hours and listen to somebody speak on one subject, you lack creativity. Because in sitting in there, listening to this person, if you have just a pen and paper, you can learn something in the challenge of staying on subject to really make a bigger and better argument than the one that you're listening to. And so when our elected officials are paid to be in a room and they're complaining about being bored because of the subject that they have to listen to, I'm offended. I'm offended as a person who believes in God, because there's no way in the world that God is going to give us all the ability to create airplanes, cars, big, beautiful 100-story buildings, and the list goes on, humongous ships, cell phones, all of the technology that goes into me speaking to you today, all of this, and people are running around talking about, I'm bored. I honestly believe that when you really look at the whole subject, just because you don't know about this subject, I'm going to confess, don't come to me for financial help, because my checking account can tell you I don't know anything about finances. Don't come to me about an awful lot of subjects. I don't know about dieting. There's a ton of things that I do not know about. And so I say that today, I am so thankful to God for the things that He has put in my path for me to learn, to teach, and to encourage people with. And if I just stay in my lane, I guarantee somebody is going to learn something that's going to help them along. And I myself, who loves to have a good time, realize that for people who think, oh, yeah, God said don't do this, God said don't do that, God said don't do that, and they can't figure out a way to make life exciting by doing the will of God, hey, don't put that off on God. I have to say that I heard this week the oldest friend that I had, 88 years old, passed. And this person passed away. Now, I'm not saying that he was an atheist. He just didn't believe in God the way I believed in God. And I must say that in trying my best over the almost 40 years that I'd known him, I tried my best to get him to understand there is a God. And staying in my lane, I tried and tried and tried by just being a friend. And though he was impressed, he kept his beliefs till the day he died, earlier this week. And this man was born on January 1st. I called him on New Year's Day, wished him a happy 88th birthday, and we had a good short conversation, but he seemed in really good spirits. We joked and planned on getting together later on this year. And then I get the call, he died. And so I know that no matter how long I know a person, I know that the only thing that I can do is be a friend to that person. Because no matter how much of a difference he and I saw life with God as a part of it, hey, he couldn't see possibly how there could be a God. And I myself, quite opposite. But for us to remain friends is because I knew how to stay in my lane. Staying in my lane, I was able to just realize that, hey, we have differences of opinion. But that don't mean we should go off and be enemies. And I see, even as this nation is grappling with the fact of, do we toss the president out of the presidency or keep him in and stuff like that, I see an awful lot of people who claim that they're thinking in the best interests of the nation, but they, for whatever reason, are driving a wedge between justice, injustice, the whatever, the will of the people, the Constitution, what it says, what it doesn't say, all of these different things. And hey, I have no say in that. Why? That's not my lane. As sad as it is for me to see all of this go on, it's not my lane. And because it hurts me so much, because I believe in America, I have this saying, the only thing that I love more than justice is the freedom to fight for it. Well, I could only get that in America. And so, for me, fighting justice is in my lane. But I can't do it now in Congress. Let's face it, I'm too old. But I can influence younger people to get into it. Why? Because there is a knowledge that I have inside of me that if I play my cards right, stay in my own lane, I can affect others in a way that they can stay tuned to this political thing and be inspired to do the civic duty of getting into politics towards making a better America in the future. I have no experience on climate change. And quite frankly, because of my beliefs, I'm not that much of a believer. Do I believe we have climate change going on? Yes. It's the arguments for and against that I'm not down with. The people who are promoting climate change are basically saying stuff like, oh, if we don't get our act together in the next 10 to 12 years, it's going to be too late. We're all going to die. I don't believe that. Then there's the others who are saying, oh, there's nothing to this climate change. Da, 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 da. Well, da, da, I can't believe that. Well, I don't believe that either. Why? Excuse me, I got a sneeze coming on. I believe climate change is how dinosaurs were extinct. I believe climate change wiped out dinosaurs. Well, dinosaurs weren't cutting back on fossil fuels. So there's an argument on both sides that I can't get involved with either way. I'm staying in my lane. What is my lane? I don't like litter on the ground. I don't like litter in the water. Don't like litter in the air. And so the things that I would promote are just being not a litter bug. That's staying in my lane. I can't go to Congress and tell them what to do or what not to do on climate change. I can only do what I believe is best in my own little old area. Does that prevent me from flying on the biggest jet? No. Does that prevent me from driving a gas guzzling vehicle? No. But there's an awful lot of things that I say that I, staying in my lane, can keep the air, the ground, the water clean. I'm going to do my part. When I throw something in the garbage can, if I throw it in the correct receptacle, that's the best I can do. If I had a 6-pack, and I'm just making this up, if I had a 6-pack of soda, and you've seen where people have shown these disturbing images of where a 6-pack of plastic was wrapped around some bird, seagull, or whatever, and led to their death. Well, I can't do nothing about where my 6-pack plastic thing were tossed, but if I just cut them up enough to where they can't tangle around a bird, that's best I can do. Staying in my lane. Now, I'm going to end by reminding you again, next month is Black History Month. And I am not a believer in celebrating Black history. And as I stated earlier, showing Black power in white America, I'm going to describe how I believe Black people can stay in their lane. And in staying in their lane, move up in society.